Poetry is painting with words and painting is visual poetry. This week, painter Anthony Mwangi and scar poetry sit down to talk about their journeys in these two fascinating art forms.
Hello, my name is Priscar Njeri, and I'm a poet and author in Kenya. My poetry organization goes by the name Scar Poetry, so find me on all socials.
My name is Anthony Mwangi, and I'm an artist, and I've also done other things like graphic design, 3D animation, and I also do a lot of community work. And I have a small gallery here at Adams Arcade called Small Digger, or direct translation meaning that it is for a small person. Although I know at one time everybody was a small person, and they can afford to buy the art that we provide at our gallery. So I think the art scene in Kenya is going to start looking nice as we go ahead, so that people can actually afford art rather than having it just to look at it and really don't know whether they can afford it or actually they cannot relate to the efforts that have been made to make that art, but they enjoy it without worrying too much about whether they can afford it or whether they cannot afford it. So we are trying to make art affordable for Kenyans.
Okay, I find that very commendable, making art affordable for Kenyans. There's a thing I like to say that art should be for the common people.
Yes.
Like everyone should have access to art. I'm very curious. For me, I've always wanted to be a painter, like in another life. I'm a poet in this life, but in another life, I've always admired the art of painting. So you as a painter, what is that art that you admire? You're like, oh my God, I wish I could do this.
Yeah, actually, I've been painting and illustrating for a long time, but I have always wanted to actually play the guitar. I can play the harmonica quite well, but the guitar, there's something about the guitar, and it's actually not easy to play the guitar. But actually, if someone learns, and maybe I've seen people also play it so naturally, I've always wondered, I actually would want to do that one day.
So have you ever tried to learn?
Yeah, actually, I remember trying once and I realized actually it's not a joke, but I wish I would love it, the way people play it. So at one point in my life, I know I have to play the guitar.
I think for me, if I wanted to play an instrument, it would be the saxophone.
Okay.
I've always admired the saxophone. Like, I don't know, I always say like, I feel like people who play the saxophone, they take you till the doorstep of heaven. That's where they leave you, they leave you at the very doorstep. Yes.
That is nice. There's something I noted. I was looking at your TikTok and your TikTok handle, and I was actually amazed by the way you give your poetry. You know, you just come out and say, you don't have, you're not like using a certain rule. You just talk about everything.
Yeah.
You know, like the other day I saw that you're talking about your mother tongue. You're talking to people and telling them there's some things that you can actually not say. They cannot make any sense in English unless they're said in mother tongue, you know?
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to elaborate a bit. What do you mean by that?
I think I call that poem lost in translation. I believe that there's always something lost in translation, especially when I translate from my mother tongue to English. I find English to be a language that is very, as you're saying, it's very strict, it's very, it has rules, it's like this. And
yeah,
my mother tongue flows and goes, and so I find that to translate something from my mother tongue, which is Kikuyu, by the way, to translate something from Kikuyu and make it into English, it's almost like there's just, let me say, there's shama that's lost. There's just
everything is lost.
There's just a taste, a vibrance that's lost.
Okay, so what you're saying is like a mother tongue comes with culture.
Yeah,
like it's connected to other things.
I was very curious. I was looking through some of your works and I found that you would give some of them very simple names.
Yes.
Like there was a girl you'd painted and she had a jerry can on her head and it was written, the painting name was Girl Carrying Water.
Yes.
And then there was another one of Kilimanjaro and it's called Heart and Kilimanjaro. And I was like, these paintings are so creative.
Yes.
So how come the names are so simple?
If you look at all of the paintings, each and every one of them has a story. So like when I say girl carrying water, that sentence comes with a lot of things, even the culture and everything.
Do you think then that your culture always influences your art?
I can say that to a certain level, African culture, you know, not necessarily the Kikuyu one alone, but in a broader spectrum, because you have also seen that there are many other characters from many other tribes in my art gallery. Yeah?
Okay.
Yes. And then something else I wanted to know, yeah?
Yeah.
I noted that when you talk, you are very bold. Do you normally do actual audiences, or you just do it on TikTok and then you post, or you do it alone and then you post it? You know that is easy.
I'm a performing poet.
Oh, okay.
So I perform a lot. Actually, one of my videos that went viral is a video of a recording I was doing while on stage. So I was on stage, and then the management of it's called Slum Africa.
Yes.
So they happened to have recorded that, and then eventually I got the recording, and I decided, you know what, let me post this as well on TikTok, and people reacted really well to it. So maybe I will post more videos of me performing live on stage, but I'm a performing poet.
Oh, that is interesting. And it is interesting because as a painter, you see, I sit in my room, I take a canvas, I paint all the colors that I want nicely, you know. I can put a little music so that I can flow and all that. The interesting thing is I do that alone, and then I open it to the public later. So they see what I was doing.
Yeah.
Sawa sawa. But when for your case, it's like you have to interact with an audience.
I do.
So you have to do, it's like yours is, so I actually admire that because I don't think that is easy.
It's not easy, but at the same time, I think it's a gift. In the same way you're gifted with telling a story on canvas, but you can tell it in a way that it will resonate and connect with your audience. And then I am gifted in speaking on stage and connecting with them and carrying them through the story as I tell it.
All right.
Yes.
And about stage fright, eh?
Yeah.
Are you done with that, or are you still?
No,
you still get that?
Sincerely, I don't think you can ever be done with stage fright. I don't think you can. I don't experience it in the adverse ways that maybe other performers do, because now I've been performing for a while. But like, if I know I'm on stage, like in the next 5 minutes I'm on stage, I can even start feeling my heart. It just starts palpitating, you know, it starts going, it's so, just, you never lose it. But but what I will say is the moment I get on stage and I start performing, it fades away.
You're on Instagram and TikTok and now YouTube. According to you, which one would you feel that attracts more audience?
My poetry in itself is poetry that encourages vulnerability and authenticity. Yes. So TikTok, being an app that also rewards authenticity and vulnerability, has really merged well with my poetry. Because like I would just like, I write a poem down, I take my phone, I record it wherever I am, wherever I was while I was writing it, and people just resonate to the message and they listen to it, and they're also just as free and as open. I wanted to ask you, is your music taste reflected in your paintings? Because I saw you've painted a lot of musical legends.
Yes.
There's Kina Leswanika, like this. So is your music taste reflected in your paintings?
Without music, actually, art cannot come out. It's a different form of art, but the actual painting and the music, there's a way you actually feel like you're painting sounds and sights, and I don't know. So the connection is there. So like when I'm doing, like, let's say someone like Oleseinka or someone like Oliver Mtukudzi, I hear their music when I'm painting.
When you're painting?
Yeah, I hear him talking, you know, I hear him toddy, you know, I can hear that. So there's a connection. Art is expensive, eh? It's very expensive. You know? Now the question is, for me, I have to use a serious expense to have something done on a canvas.
Yeah.
How is your work, when it's connected to expense? How expensive is your work? Like when you're preparing until you actually come up with a poem?
So I will divide that into two. There's the writing and then there's the performing.
Okay.
So the writing in itself is not very expensive.
Okay.
It still needs inputs, because at the end of the day I have like, oh my God, I think I have over 20 notebooks in that house.
Stationery.
I have so much stationery. And so there's that, and there's also the time, of course, that you need to put in.
Okay.
But once I've written, there's the aspect of either performing on record or recording on TikTok.
Okay.
So recording on TikTok is actually turning out to be costly because now I can't always record by myself. I had to buy a tripod in order to hold my camera because I'm just alone. I had to buy a microphone so that the sound is clear.
It's clear. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also working to buy lights and stuff like that to just like everything that goes into a production. I'm going to become a small production company on my own.
So actually also, you have to put some market, some serious finances.
You have to put some good finances, especially if you want quality, right? I'm even thinking of upgrading my phone, to be honest, because now I'm like, okay, I want my camera quality to be so good that anyone can clearly see me and see everything, because I want quality content. And then there's the part of performing. Now even performing is even more expensive because you have to figure out transport to the venue. If the venue is out of town, you have to figure out accommodation. And especially, you know, as a starting poet, as a starting artist, people don't always pay you your worth. You know, like you're good, right? But when you're starting, no matter how good you are, if you're not necessarily known, like people are not so willing to pay you your worth. And so you can have an event in Nairobi. I went to school in Narok. In university. So I used to have a lot of events in Nairobi, but I have to be the one who travels from Narok, comes to Nairobi, performs, figures out, like, you know, logistics for the day, logistics for where I will stay and all of that. So it's like, it's quite a commitment.
It's a serious commitment.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. Now, another thing I wanted to ask, and maybe also I'm asking myself that question. When it comes to the audience, you know, like, how do you feel, what do you think about people? How do they react to us? You know, like art, you know, like we can even talk about Kenya, you know. Do you think people really know, do you think people really feel, or do they know where you're coming from? Do they really know what you need to go through to get that thing out? Do they appreciate enough?
I think there's the like two categories of people. There's the ones that know and really appreciate, and then there's the people who still think art is meant for the white person. It's like the people who still think that as you're painting, you as you're painting, Anthony as you're painting, your audience is the white man to come buy your art. There are people who still think that me as a poet, as I'm writing, the people who should be attending those events for me to perform. And I won't even say the white man necessarily, but also like the rich man, the white man, the rich man, the you know, the person who has the luxury of the person who has the luxury to be interested
the one who can,
in
can
art.
afford
the one who can afford art. And then there's the people who, but I would say those people are like a small percentage. There's the people who really get art and they really love art and they will show up for art like regardless. Like this is just a regular person, but they're so in love with art. They're so in love with whatever form of art.
Not necessarily because they can buy it.
Not even for buying. Even just for attending, even just for seeing or reposting or sharing or like reacting and telling you, oh my God, your art is so beautiful. I love it and I love to engage with it. And for me, I would say to the ones who think that art is either for the white man or for the rich man, art is for the common man. Because art is most often made by the common man, and it's made to comment and talk about things that the common man is experiencing. I don't think we should let it be that the consumer of our art is not ourselves. Art is for the common man. Do you think the different seasons in your life are also reflected in your art?
Definitely. Because you see, there's a time you did art because you thought you're going to come out and become this millionaire and make all this money. So at the beginning, I remember even going around carrying, you used to do some nice art. Unaandika majina, like unaandika to just some nice comments on the pieces of art and then you'd sell it on the street. And then you're like, one day, watch and I'll be. Then we went to the galleries and then you're like, when you take a painting, they go and put a cost of, say, like 100,000. And then you're like, nitakula lini? Because who's going to buy this? Okay, one day mzungu anaweza kuja, anunua hata 50. By the way, you know if it's 100,000, these guys, because they are the ones who, they are the owners of the galleries, they would give you like, if it's 100,000, you would get 20K.
20?
That's the way it used to go. So the funny thing is you're like, a Kenyan cannot even buy it at 20 anyway. So you are like, oh, I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Okay.
With the little I'm getting.
Yeah. So over time, then because me, I've been alive for some time. So the stretch has taught me a lot. At the beginning, I had to stop now painting because I was like, if I happen waiting for one painting to go through in a gallery, I'm going to die. So I started studying graphic design. So I got into that, and over time I started illustrating for posters for people like the UN and wherever. So I started making money for, like with my art, because that's another form of art within my art, where I can illustrate and I can do posters, I can design magazines, and I made money for some time.
Yeah.
Then later on, it changes into something else. Now that I can afford to eat and I can afford to stay somewhere, like any other person,
Yeah.
because I did something different that can. So I was able to come up with a way that I can make my art cheaper for the Kenyan market, or even anyone who is smaller. Not even just in Kenya. I've also noted in the Western world, there are some people who can actually not afford the expensive art. So it's not just in Kenya. It's open, it's everywhere. So I decided to come up with that style because when you do an original painting on a canvas, let's say it's a 50,000 painting, because it can be 50,000, it can be 100,000, it can be whatever. Then there's a guy who can come and buy that painting. But there's a guy who can come in my gallery and say, hey, this is beautiful, this is so lovely, and then he can't buy it because he can't afford it. But if I could give him, he can actually take it and hang it in his house, and he'll be so happy, and he will always forever say, this guy is, but I can't do that. Because if I give him that, then, I'm done. So I came up with a way of actually making copies, like printing on canvas, copies of the same original painting. And say, let's say if it's 50,000, then you can make the same sizes for 2,000 bob. And they look more or less like the original. So now this small guy who is supposedly not able to afford the bigger painting or the more expensive painting can be able to carry the same painting home and actually enjoy it the same way. Let's say it's a painting of Rwanda Magere, because I did that. There's a guy who came to my shop and said, I wanted always to own a Rwanda Magere. I said, I know this is so expensive now, I don't even think I can carry this. But anyway, I'm happy to see it. So he told him, no, this is a print. This is a print of the same original. You mean I can carry this?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And then he said, I don't even have 2,000. You can 180. Come here, baby. 180 is fine. So he was telling me the other day he's not believing that it's hanging in his house. And the feel is very good. So we are making it in a way that now art is affordable.
I wanted to know whether there's any political, whether your paintings are like a political statement. Okay. Because one thing I noticed, like you said, you have the painting of Rwanda Magere.
Yeah.
You also have a painting of lots of political African figures, liberators. I saw another one of Mekatilili, right?
Yes.
And also I saw one of Malcolm X. And so is your painting in any way a political statement? Yeah,
they also have political statements, and there's no way, by the way, there's no way you can avoid that. You have to actually be. In fact, now that you're talking about that, I can just touch a bit on my 3D animation side, where I actually, if you look at my TikTok, I don't think you have seen that yet.
No, I saw your website and your Instagram.
But I'll actually send you the TikTok one. Yeah. I also have a whole spectrum of TikTok where I was doing animations just to help the Gen Zs.
Okay.
And if you look at them, some of them are like they're jokes, like they're fun. But if you look at, there's a message there.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you the link. You look at them and you tell me what you think, because there's no way you cannot be political when you're doing poetry and when you're doing art. Actually, I heard you the other day when you're talking about, these guys cannot help you.
Yeah, they can.
So you remember?
Yes.
One of your poem you're talking about who and so cannot help you. You guys, man, when you're going out there, know you're on your own. It's your evolution.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So I believe all of us somehow we cannot avoid the politics because it's part of our life.
Yeah, I find that view so refreshing because I feel like people try to say, oh, my art is just for enjoyment, but art in itself is like, art in itself is a revolution. Just by being artistic, you're being a revolutionary.
Oh yes, and it's possible to actually even hide a message in apparently, like a simple painting or a simple animation, where it looks like it's nothing, but someone who looks in and out, oh, there's a message here.
Actually, when you speak about humor, there's one of your paintings I saw, a couple actually, and they were quite humorous. There was this one, it was like a spacecraft, and then the spacecraft is saying, human, take me to your leader, and then the human is replying, so just because you have a big car, you think you can date my girlfriend.
Or my Linda, the guy doesn't know the difference between Linda and Linda. So you think you can date my Linda, like my daughter. And she has a Oh yeah.
And he had a whip. He was ready to fight.
He's fighting with the space. Because I remember singing Arthi myself afterwards.
Yeah, you did. So for me, writing is so easy. It comes naturally, it flows, and so does performing. But I would say performing is harder because performing takes a lot of work. You have to internalize your work, you have to practice, you have to figure out which audience is going to resonate to this work and which audience is going to resonate to that work. I was saying that even sometimes it's the same poem, but every time I go to perform, I have to alter it because I have to think, okay, but who am I performing for this poem this time around?
Okay.
Who is going to be in the audience? What will they resonate with? Like, will they get these jokes? Will they get this reference?
Oh, yeah.
And so performing takes a lot of work. It takes more work than the writing process.
Okay.
But it's also very rewarding. It's very rewarding, and I will say this time and time again, I feel so free when I'm on stage. Like when I'm on stage, that is when I am my freest, most authentic, most me self.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would also add that actually poetry has a way, of connecting with art, like the actual paintings, the way we do it. And if you look at my art, actually, most of them, they have a story. I'm actually happy to meet you because I think maybe one day I might tell you to just write a poem and then I'm going to do a painting with that.
Yeah.
And then I can make it like the story for the painting.
For the poem.
Because if you look at my paintings, they always have a story. So I believe poetic language, even when you've done a painting, is so important. Because some people love that. And they can actually even buy your painting because it has some kind of poetry in it. So they get to understand it more when they look at the poetry feel and also the actual art.
And maybe that's a project that we could work on together. We could come up with our topic we really like, and then I would write a poem, and you would.
And interestingly, even the ones you've already had there, it's very easy to pick from one and come up with a nice. Already you've done some nice groundwork already.
Thank you.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
We should talk about that off stage.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. See you next week.